Hello my dear friends and Merry Christmas. You're on the Military Summary channel, and this short video we're going to discuss the most important updates that took place during the previous night of the local time. The official Ukrainian sources reported that as a result of air defense work, they managed to shut down another additional 2 aircrafts of Russian forces. The Ukrainians are saying they shot down Su-34 and Su-30. I'll remind you that just a few days ago, as a result of ambush that Ukrainians created, they managed to shut down 3 more Su-34. So if we summarize, during the previous, let's say 5 days, the Ukrainians managed to shut down up to 5 Russian aircrafts. I can't tell you whether this information is correct, true, or this is maybe fake and media victory, and the Ukrainians are trying to change the focus of society, of people, from the problems in Krynki, from the problems in Avdiivka, and this is, let's say, some kind of preparation before big withdrawal opposition, because we know that currently there are a lot of rumors and talks that the Ukrainians are planning to leave Krynki, they're going to step back from Avdiivka, they're planning to step back from Novomykhailivka, and all these updates with Su-30 they're trying to create a fake media victory, because according to information we have, soon the Ukrainians will receive, or they have already received, F-16, and probably very soon they're going to start using them in battle. So maybe they're planning to use F-16, these updates with destroyed Su-30, Su-34 as like a greatest media victory, and they will use this noise, this media noise, for withdrawing purposes from Novomykhailivka and Avdiivka, or let's say Sinkovka. Now let's move to the south, and we're going to talk and discuss some situation in the vicinity of Robotyne. Today, the Ukrainian sources published the video on the southern part of the village, how another cemetery of armored vehicles. According to information we have, this video was published and made by the Ukrainian sources. On this video we can see Ukrainian trenches and significant number of destroyed armored vehicles, which confirms probably that as a result of some counter-offensive operation, the Ukrainians managed to restore control over these 3 lines, because this area was captured by the Russians a week or 2 weeks ago or something like this. From the other side we got another video from the Russian sources, which also confirms the combat line. On this video we can see how the Russian armored vehicle, armored personal carrier, was attacking the Ukrainian positions along the 3 lines, right, let's say in front of him. So this video we can use to adjust the combat line and positions, either the Russians or the Ukrainians, on this area. So according to this video, according to this update, the Russian armored vehicle got this position along the 3 lines, and from this area he was attacking, the Russian armored vehicle was attacking the Ukrainian forces along these 3 lines, which confirms the presence of Ukrainian forces along this territory. After he finished his job, he returned back to Novoprokopovka along this area. And now we're moving to the south Donetsk direction. We have very interesting details from Novomykhailivka. The Russians, as usually, continue bombardments of the village with the FAB-500. And if you remember, we discussed that after the Ukrainians, according to Ukrainian reports, managed to shoot down 5 Russian aircrafts who mainly use aviation bombs FAB-500, the Ukrainians reported that the Russians stopped using this type of weapon. Now this video confirms that the Russians continue using FAB-500 and FAB-1500, at least on the South Donetsk direction. When talking about another important update, today we got confirmed geolocation of presence of Russian forces in these farms, in this industrial area on the south of Novomykhailivka. On this video that was published by the Ukrainian forces, we can see how the Ukrainian tank was attacking the Russian positions on the south of this village. This video was geolocated, and we will discuss in a minute where exactly the Ukrainian tank was moving, where exactly the Ukrainian tank was attacking, and we will understand approximately the Russian progress in this area. So we can say that the updates that we got a few days ago about the Russian progress in the farms, in the cemetery, and in the warehouse were correct, and that the Russians did manage to penetrate the Ukrainian defense belt and to get probably almost inside of the village itself, at least from the southern direction. So now let's return back to the map, and basically the Ukrainian tank was moving something like this. He was moving along the street. Timiryazeva Street. He was moving along the street until this interception roads. After that, the tank turned to the right, to the bottom, and started moving in this direction. Somewhere from this position, the Ukrainian tank was attacking the Russian forces who was located in these buildings, in this part of the farms. So this is the situation. Once again, the Ukrainian tank was moving something like this. And after the tank ended, was empty, was out of ammo, he returned back the same road. We can make few important conclusions based on this video. First of all, the thing is that the Ukrainians do have possibilities to use tanks to counterattack the Russians. And we know, and this video confirms, that the Russians don't have armored vehicles, tanks, or personnel carriers in this part of Novomykhailivka. They have just infantry that they managed to land few days ago or weeks. They managed to dig in deeper, but we understand that without any support of armored vehicles, the Russians don't have chances to continue offensive operation. Now the Russians have one problem: how to concentrate armored fist, how to concentrate few personnel carriers or tanks to continue offensive operation further, because without armored fist they can't penetrate the southern defense belt of Ukrainian forces just with infantry. They can, but then they will be forced to pay significant price. We haven't received anything from the eastern side of Novomykhailivka. I expect that maybe today, after the demining process, the Russians will make also another attempt to attack from this direction, and they must do this. Very likely they're going to do this because it's much easier to answer with armored vehicles from this side, but not from this side, but not from the southern. Now we are moving to Marinka direction, and according to most of mappers and updates from the ground from the soldiers, the Russians, as a result of offensive operation, managed to establish complete control over Marinka. This information was provided by the Russian sources, and the sources are saying that the complete liberation or capturing of Marinka was implemented by 5th Motorized Brigade upload of DPR. So the Russians during the previous day were bombing and attacking this territory heavily, and the previous night they complete the mission, the Battle of Marinka. For now, we don't have exact the flags. If you remember, when the Russians captured the western part, like southwestern, there were at least 3 videos with flags showing, confirming that update. We still haven't received even a single flag from the northwestern part of the village, but because of the fact that we have a lot of reports from different reliable mappers, before the next video we will update this territory and we will show this area as in the gray zone, because we have reports about some progress of Russians and the complete liberation of Marinka. So this territory will so the Ukrainian positions will be moved further to the northwest on this area. Now we are moving to the north to Nivolska. We have very interesting updates that the Russians launched offensive operation in direction of this village along these 3 lines. And this is very interesting because during the previous days, since the beginning of December, we had at least 3 reports from this territory. We have the video of Russian bombardments of this territory using very heavy type of weapon like FAB 500, artillery rounds, and many other types of weapon. We also have the video of Russian attack on the ground, like with significant number of infantry, and how the Russians were trying to clear this territory. And now we have another update that the Russians launched a massive attack towards the Nivolska. And we understand the main purposes of the Russians. Obviously, the thing that they're planning to do and they want to do is to establish complete control, let's say, over this area. I'm not sure that the Russians are able to do this very fast, but to get as close as possible, they can do this. And if we then zoom out, we're going to see the global plan of the Russians to create another cauldron, another encirclement of Ukrainian forces in Pervomaiska. So this is like the main plan of the Russians. I'm not saying that they're able to do this, but it looks like this. Now we're moving to Bakhmut Artyomov direction. We have a few more updates from Grigorovka, Bogdanovka. If you remember, we have already discussed that according to some Russians, they managed to enter Grigorovka, they managed to almost encircle the Ukrainian hill, but today we got some updates that probably adjust the wishful thinkings that we got a few days ago during the previous days. According to information we have, the Russians managed to develop their positions, and basically they control currently something something like this, according to some mappers, more or less reliable resources. What does it mean? The Russians answered and continue advancing further in direction of Grigorovka along this tree line. This is like one important update. And the second one is that the Russians managed to bypass fields and to enter another tree line that's located on the northeast of Grigorovka. So something like this. And now the Russians have possibilities to continue advancing further. And basically, there are very high chances, if those updates is correct, that the next few days the Russians will make the first attempts to attack Grigorovka from the east and northeast. So possibly, very likely, this is going to happen. Furthermore, we got the third video of FPV drone hunting. Very interesting video. During December, we got at least 3 videos how the Russians were hunting Ukrainians' FPV drones operators. This is the third one. They managed to discover another position of Ukrainian FPV drone operators, and after that, as a result of missile strikes, those positions were also destroyed. So very interesting situation, and I understand that now in the past we were saying if you are able to establish air superiority or artillery superiority, then you can win. But this war, Ukraine-Russian war, tells us that if you are able to establish FPV drone superiority, maybe this case you have possibilities, 100% chances to win. And now we are moving to Kupiansk-Liman direction. Liman, I have adjusted the map just to show you the Russian progress based on geolocations we saw yesterday about the Russian attack. And when talking about Kupiansk, we don't have any geolocated videos. The only thing is that today is the third day of absence of Udai. So we remember this guy, the Udai diary. He was attacking, bombing the Ukrainian forces every single day, and for around 36 days of his life cycle, let's call it like this, he managed to destroy up to more than half a battalion. But now he's gone. What happened to him, I don't know, but let's see, maybe he will return, maybe not. And that's it for the short video. Military Summary channel reminds you, we condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for your watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. And once again, Merry Christmas.